What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Telling Stories with the Punk Rock Dad. I know it's been a little while. I just haven't had the content that I wanted to bring to the table for a lengthy conversation solo. And I met this gentleman here, Rob. He's got a channel also on YouTube called The Punk Aughts. If you get a chance, go check him out. I'm going to put a link in the description. I'm sure vice versa. We just got to talking, man, and we both are fans of Operation Ivy, Rancid, and Tim Armstrong, Jesse Michaels, and we're like, hey, want to do a show? Sure, yeah, let's do it. So we just decided to do one, and we're gonna talk about those fellas, man. Tim Armstrong, Jesse Michaels, and their music, their bands, the stuff that they've done. What is up with Operation Ivy right now, etc., etc. So thank you for hanging out with me a little while today, Rob. I appreciate your time, dude. I really do, man.
No, it's good to be on here. It's good to meet someone that actually is interested in diverse interests like you are, but also in a lot of the same stuff. I like doing this channel to connect with people for that exact reason.
It's hard to find people that actually give a crap about things that you hold. Like, so I'm 41, and I have this thing about, like, when I was younger, I've always been the Rancid guy. Like, there's that guy in every group where, like, that's their favorite band. Uh, Ever since I was like probably 16 or 15, that's been my favorite band. It's never changed. It's probably never gonna. And I've gone through the whole discovering them. They were awesome. And then I went through the whole, oh, they're not punk anymore nonsense that people were doing, back to the, like, oh, now they're putting out records that we don't care about that are suddenly classics all of a sudden. And then back to the where, oh, now they're legends. I've been through all of it, man. So I've stuck around, man. I'm not planning on going anywhere, dude. It's hard to find people that are willing to voice their opinion regardless of what everybody else thinks. And I think that's so stupid, but it is what it is. But I'm sure I've done it too, but not to the extent that I'm talking about.
No, but I think Rancid is kind of specifically polarizing in that everyone can kind of be mad at them for whatever reasons they have to be mad at them. As you said, if you say they're not punk enough, or
Yeah.
they did that, or they were they're too posery because they dress in the 1970s London garb or whatever, or you just flat out don't like the music. Someone always has a reason to not like them for whatever reason. And I think it's because they are kind of the default band in a lot of ways, where it's like, okay, you're into punk, you're into Rancid. I think on the more surface level, like, once for me as a kid, like, I grew up in the poppier era in the late 90s. So Rancid was already established. So Rancid was like the first band that I discovered that wasn't something necessarily that was on the radio that felt a little bit different. They were kind of a gateway band. And
well,
the thing is, I never left them though. It's like I discovered other stuff, but that always was sort of the baseline.
So I mean, that's how, I mean, it was probably 95 or 6 when I discovered them. I saw them in Dallas in 96, I think. So yeah, they were pretty established by then. I think Out Come the Wolves had already come out. Like, the thing is that a lot of the stuff that I hear, it really screams two things: jealousy and insecurity. Because people just no matter what happens, if you get popular, you're going to get people to hate you. And if my channel suddenly blows up one day and I have 500,000 subscribers, all the guys that love me right now are going to suddenly say I'm too big for my britches and I am no longer the same guy. In reality, I will be the same guy because I don't give a shit. And I'm just not, I mean, I'm the same dude as I was 20 years ago. Like, I don't know how I would change. So, if I got more money, it would go straight to the family, bro. Like, you're not going to see me rocking I might get like an actual, like, necklace of some kind, like a thing, but like, I wouldn't be like suddenly rocking crazy sunglasses. Like, I just don't dress like that. Like, what about me is going to change? I'm going to have more records. Okay. Yeah, probably. Guilty as charged.
Well, because it would be inauthentic, right? If
it would be
if
so fake, bro.
like
You'd be able to tell from a mile away that I was posing. I'd be poser right there. That's
the issue with the poser, right? It's I mean, it's a dumb thing to say if you're over like 15 to call anyone a poser.
But I love calling people posers.
the point is, like, is it changing you, or is it doing something different, or are you doing something different because of like this whole thing on selling out, which is the oldest punk thing in the book. And I think if you know what you're talking about, you know what that actually means. And it has nothing to do with punk. It's just something that
music at all.
That gets
it's like, what do you do outside of all that? Like, that's how you know if you sold out. If you still play the music, and yet suddenly now, instead of let's say that you go out, and even at a pretty famous point in your life, you still go to shows, you still support local bands, you still buy local zines, you still buy local merch, you still buy from small business, and then suddenly you get really famous and rich, and then you still play the same music, you still dress the same, you still look the same. People don't even realize you got all this money, but now you live in a different neighborhood. You don't support the bands anymore. You don't buy the merch. You don't even try to order it online. You just completely cut them off, right? That's selling out, dude.
Mhm.
Not accidentally catching a wave. You think Green Day sold out? Nope. Green Day was just accidentally popular. Like, what are we talking about here, man? Like, it's so stupid, man.
It's jealousy. Like and I
It
talked about it a
is.
lot on my stream. I was reading the Lookout book, and now I'm going to the Livermore book, and it's amazing how petty people actually were. Like I think we saw, I experienced it and I participated in it a lot. I think as a dumb kid, but the actual reasonings behind it, when you get people to actually interrogate that, I think that's where it really is a house of cards.
So let's talk about some Tim Armstrong and Jesse Michaels and
Yeah.
Op Ivy, Bad Optics. I just can't believe they did that. Like, I'm
Yeah,
shocked.
and I feel like there wasn't a lot of lead up to it either, right? It's not like,
Well, no, did you read Tim Armstrong's post on Instagram?
yeah, they just started
He's like, "Yeah,
playing
we
together.
just
Yeah.
hit it. We didn't want to tell you about it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get that, bro. I feel you on that." Because like, if they had said, "We're gonna do this," they would have gotten shit on by so many elitist types.
Mhm.
But they just dropped a song, and then of course, when I did my reaction video to it and like reviewed it, I got a bunch of people that are like, "Oh, but this is better." Now, "Oh, it's not as good as Op Ivy." Well, no, it's never gonna be, bro. They're fucking 60. Like,
Mhm.
no, it's not gonna be as good as Operation Ivy. They're not as mad and angry as they were when they were 18 years old. Like, how is that not obvious?
Well,
Like,
and when they say that, they're missing the point of why Op Ivy is good in the first place. It is that youthful part of it. Like their LP's named Energy for a reason, and they have,
facts.
they the live show and all that. I think that's where I'm always not totally into them reuniting. Like if they ever play together again, I will be there. I will jump on a
Well,
plane and be there.
that's where
I
it
don't
becomes a sticky
necessarily want
situation.
it. Yeah. Like I
So
understand the reasons, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I think I am 100% in agreement with what you just said. I don't think I really want them to. But if they do it, I was only fucking 5 when they started playing and 7 when they broke up. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go see that. I would rather them just be Bad Optics and then maybe do like 2 or 3 Up Ivy covers
Mhm.
and then see that. Like maybe do like a couple of their bigger songs and then just do it for the fans and then play new material and I'll just experience that instead because I think I'll have more appreciation for that and I think it'll be more genuine. I do think that I have a lot of faith in Tim Armstrong, man. People don't like that guy. I don't care. I love him, man. He's a rad dude and he's probably the best punk rock songwriter in the history of human beings. I can't see how you can compete with him. Like, I mean, even there's stuff that people don't even realize he wrote that would blow people's minds, dude. He's credited as a writer on Britney Spears songs, man. Come on, dude.
I mean, he produced an album for Pink. Like
I mean,
that's
like,
insane.
it is insane. And then he also discovered stuff like Dropkick Murphys. Like, dude, come on.
Mhm.
Like, Leftover
And
Crack wouldn't have been anybody without Tim Armstrong in their
produced
life.
early AFI. He did
AFI,
all of that. Yeah.
dude. Oh, dude, you want to talk about AFI and stuff? Look at we got Nitro Records, we got Adeline Records. We wouldn't have One Man Army without Green Day. We wouldn't have AFI without Offspring. Come, man. Oh, I hate people sometimes, bro. They don't know how to appreciate shit. Go read something and then come back and talk to me, man.
Well, and
Like,
I think that, see, because I think people intuitively who know a little bit would say, well, yeah, Green Day was big and a lot of stuff spawned off them. I don't think they realized the direction of influence that went. I don't think they realized, like, no, Op Ivy blew up and Green Day is like a junior band to them in that initial scene as far as influence initially, and that's where Op Ivy, because they never actually reformed, doesn't always get that Godfather status that I think they quite should in that way.
they
Um,
literally started a whole genre. I don't see how anybody can not give them.
yeah, multiple genres too, because like we have third wave ska in the 90s. That was them. We have the poppy punk from the Gilman Street stuff. That was them. They obviously spawned a lot of what Rancid did with the Clash influence and all that. That was
Yeah.
them. Like all of those tree branches, plus many more that you were talking about, all comes off of them. It's just hard because they got one album, they were together, but a year and a half, and broke up before anyone ever got sick of them. And that's something that they have over every other band that's like ever existed.
You know, and that's good. We need some bands like that. We need bands that like dude, yeah, I don't know. I think people are just not very grateful. People aren't very grateful and they should be because itching for some new Rancid music, man. And so I'll take Bad Optics. I'll take
Mm,
Lars' solo stuff. I'll take Charger. I don't care. I just want to hear these guys playing music because I love them. I love these guys. These are four people, I guess five if you want to include Brett since they have two different drummers, but like
mm,
five people that were in the world that at some point made something that absolutely positively changed my life in a positive way. And I can't say that about very many people. And so I just
mm-mm.
want to hear him play music, man, whether you like it or not. Honestly, I don't really care if people like it or not. I'm gonna like it. Do I like every single song? Nope. There's even an entire album I don't like. I don't like the 2000 Rancid record. That album's terrible. Like,
I had the second to last on my list on my Rancid rankings, and people did not like that. And you know what?
oh, then I'm
The
gonna do a
argument
Rancid ranking video too, and I'm gonna put it dead ass last
the argument
because
was it's their most hardcore, but that doesn't make it a better out.
no,
Like
that's their most poser ass album they've got.
it's
Let's
their
show
midlife
everybody how
crisis
punk rock
album.
we are.
It's their midlife crisis album. That's what it is.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Like, it's got like two good songs on it, man. It's their most hardcore album. I don't want hardcore. I want melodic music. I want Rancid. Like, if I wanted
What makes
hardcore, I'd go
Rancid
listen.
Rancid is that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with it. It's the songwriting. The punk is I wouldn't say it's not fake. That's not what I'm meaning, but it's more of the veneer that gets you there with Rancid. I
Yeah.
don't like Rancid because they're a great punk band. I don't necessarily think of them in
No,
that
I
way. It's
like
an added
Rancid,
perk.
and they're a great punk band.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's why their songs honestly translate into so many different formats, and they can put out these acoustic versions, and they can
Well,
be covered.
they're storytellers.
Yeah, and as you said, I think Tim's probably the best ever at that.
I
Within the
mean,
genre, I think for sure. I mean, there's
I
other
would be
guys, but
hard pressed to find somebody better. Like,
mm,
I mean,
especially for the longevity too. Like
yeah, I mean,
to have written with Op Ivy, in the late '80s to still be doing stuff now. That's to
it's
be
pretty
producing like the
incredible, man.
Interrupters and
I mean,
chart topping bands.
I was talking to the so I was walking out of a or no, I was walking into a like a little like I don't know what they call them in your area, like little corner store over here.
Mhm.
And this dude was walking out. And if you had looked at the two of us, you would have thought there is zero chance these guys have anything in common. And he was wearing a shirt that said something on it about reggae music. And oh, cool shirt. That's all I said to him, right? And he goes, ah, yeah. And then out of nowhere, he goes, oh, you ever heard Buju Banton? And I was like, actually, my favorite band's done a song with him. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, you ever heard Rancid? And he was like, no. So I wrote a bunch of stuff down and gave it to him. Like, that's the kind of stuff that band's done. Stuff like that. Dude, who
Mhm.
else has done that, bro? Like, man, my whole life is like shaped by this band. It's kind of weird, honestly. I'm probably like too much of a fan if you want to be realistic about it. Like, it's kind of crazy how much my life has been shaped by this one group of people.
Mhm, and I think it's a big tree too because I made the joke on my stream a few weeks ago, like the Rancid extended universe that was going on, especially in the early 2000s, where every summer there was a new like Rancid related thing I would look forward to, whether it was the Bastards, whether it was the Transplants,
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm
Devil's
telling you, dude.
Brigade, all of the every year there was
The
something.
distillers, then you have interrupters, then you go, dude. I'm telling you, bro. Like, if you took away Rancid and the effect they had on music, punk rock would be significantly different.
Mhm.
Like significantly, like a lot, like way different. If you took away, because that would mean you taking away Hellcat Records, you're taking away Rancid, Large, all that stuff, take away Transplants. I mean, dude, I'm from Houston, bro. Paul Wall did a chopped and screwed version of a Transplants record. I literally couldn't believe it when I was looking at it. I was looking at it and I was going, because I'm from Houston, bro. I listen to a lot of rap because I'm from a place where it's kind of a thing, right? And so I've been like looking at this record. I'm like, wait a minute. Paul Wall knows Tim Armstrong? And I'm like, I mean, it blew my mind. And he absolutely does know him. They're very much friendly people. And I was just like, what is happening, dude? Like, I felt some kind of way about it. It really felt special to me because down here in Houston, bro, we don't get no love, dude. Like, if you're not from New York or California, I mean, you probably feel it too where you're at.
Mhm.
There's no love in anywhere except LA or I guess California as a whole and then the East Coast. You know, if you're not from one of those places, you're not cool in them. A lot of bands don't even go outside of those places.
No, it's like flyover country. Every time I'm looking at a tour list, I'm looking at Texas, I'm looking
Oh,
at Arizona, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
okay, are we gonna get there?
Yeah, it's so frustrating, man. Like, but whatever. But so when something like that happens, it's special to me, you know. And I really thought that was cool, man. Transplants blew my mind. There's still never been a band like them, dude. Like they that's another band like Op Ivy, dude. Like they're like they came out, they did something, and it's never been replicated. You can't repeat that. You can't
They
play.
age. they age well, don't they? Though, like considering what modern music looks like, I
Bro,
think they
it's
age
so
very
strange.
well.
I
Yeah.
was playing them the other day on my live stream, and somebody's like, "What is this?" Like some 16-year-old kid, and I was like, "Bro, you got." I said, "You don't even understand, dude." I was like, "This is stuff that my guys were doing in the late '90s, early 2000s," and he was like blown away, and it was cool, man. It's cool to pass this stuff down, man. I just love talking to somebody else that likes the same music I do because on my channel, one of the things that I like about it is that it's so diverse, but one of the things that sucks about it is that it's so diverse, man. I get a lot of kids that they don't know it. They're not being mean, they're not being shitty. They don't know it, and they don't have nothing to celebrate because they're half my age. They weren't around when Outcome the Wolves came out. They don't understand the significance of that album. So like even when they hear it, they like it, but they don't understand it like I do. And so, I remember having to listen to it on cassette on a Walkman with the blanket over my head in my
Mhm.
bed so my sister didn't wake up. Like there's just parts of life that they won't get to experience, and vice versa. There's things that I don't have any idea about that they're dealing with. So, but how do you feel about Op Ivy though? If they get together right now, what like or do you think they're even gonna? Because I don't think they're gonna.
No, and I think they're gonna stick to that. Like, I believed Axel and Slash would never get in the same room together, but then
That's
eventually
true.
there's enough cash to do it. I don't think this is that kind of situation
I don't
because
think these are the guys for that, man. Not for
well,
the
it, and it
cash
and
grab.
it's never been like they don't get along. Like they were literally teenagers who'd be like, okay, we're not having as much fun anymore. Let's do something else. So it's not like it's been this burden on them. I don't think the same way that it would for those other bands that they're leaving that much on the table. And they know, like I was reading this interview with Jess Michaels from about a year and a half ago. He's like, oh, we didn't realize we were famous till like 3 years after it was over anyway, because we kind of felt we were another Gilman band that broke up. So
That
I
makes
think
perfect sense.
they know they know the power they hold with not getting back to. I mean, they're going to keep people like us talking about them, keeping that mystique up, which is going on. Op Ivy and the whole Rancid crew, I would say, the mystique is such a big part of the band. There's like this kind of mysteriousness to them. They do so many things aesthetically in the black and white, and I think Op Ivy's another piece of that because they're just the legend. They're almost not real. Like, and this is the closest we're gonna get to see of them being real, but they are making it clear that they're not Pantera saying it's Pantera. Like they are doing it. They're doing Bad
Yeah.
Optics. That's what it's gonna be.
They would have to have Matt Freeman involved, and I don't know that he wants to do it either. Because
Mm,
if he's not involved, then it's somebody else. Then it's not Op Ivy because he's still alive, he's still around, he's still playing music.
mm. And
So
again, it's not like he's in exile. Him and Tim are
no,
literally in
no,
the
no,
other
no.
band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it's just he's like, not really trying to do that right now. Like I got other shit to focus on.
Mm.
Um, I get so much of my style from Tim Armstrong, dude. Like just like I'm an artist, I create things, and I do clothing, I do screen printing, I do paintings. And if you look at my label, my everything I do, man, it's so funny because it looks so much like Hellcat stuff. Like it just does, man. Like ain't nothing I can do about that, bro. It's just what I grew up liking.
Yeah,
But
there's like I call it a Hellcat filter on Photoshop where I press on accident and everything goes that inverse black and white. And I was like, okay, there you go. That's
see, I learned how to see. I don't know how to use Photoshop, so everything I do it by hand. I have to do it all, but I do it. But I do make it look like high contrast black and white stuff,
mm,
and that's what I love. Like my logo is a high contrast black and white butcher knife. It's this knife crime. It's
back in
yeah.
the day, all the Hellcat samplers and the records would always come with that mini poster.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'd
bro,
have
love
those
it.
all up over the room, the give them the boot one, and that's how you'd start studying the bands that I didn't really know about. Maybe it was the Dwayne Peters band or something like that. And you'd see it on there and go check
Bro,
it
that's
just
how I
from the
discovered
poster.
Leftover Crack. That's how I discovered Dropkick Murphys. That's how I discovered the Bastards, obviously. The Distillers.
Mm,
That's how I discovered. I mean, dude, how did Give 'em the Boot not shape a young punk rocker's life in the 90s?
mm.
That was so much bigger than any other comp out there to me. Or to me it was. It was the most important. Like it
Um,
had
I, yeah, I think the Punkaramas though were still huge though too, and they had as much reach, but the Punkaramas weren't as refined because Epitaph was pretty diverse, especially in the late '90s of
I think
of
that's
what
what
they
it was,
had.
is that Hellcat was like exactly what I
Right,
wanted.
it was more focused. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
like
like, holy crap, every single band on here, now they all like Dropkick and Leftover Crack are not at all the same kind of music, but they feel like they fit a similar,
mhm.
well, I guess aesthetic,
Yeah.
like
Well,
that's
well, do you remember the DVD from back in the day? What was it called? It was called "Give 'Em the Boot." Yeah, and it was just live performances that Tim and other people had shot on very amateur. And what you're talking about fits there because all those bands just kind of fit together in like the narrative they crafted, and it's just concert footage. But
yeah.
you could tell there was something where there was like the Necromantics and F minus and these bands, which again don't
Dude, the
aren't
Necromantics is
similar,
another one.
but they fit.
Yeah. Yeah, they did, and they were all friends, man. That was a cool time. I'm glad I was
Mhm.
there to witness all that. I I saw Necromantics play with One Man Army in like 1998 at this place in Houston in this tiny ass room. And I took my brother along with me and he didn't want to go. And I was like, bro, you got to go. He's like, I don't really mess with punk rock stuff. And I was like, bro, I think you'll like this band, Necromantics. They're like more of a rockabilly, psychobilly type sound. They talk about horror movies and stuff. And he was like, and then I was like, all right, well, there's this other band called Women Army from San Francisco playing. I've never heard them before, but they're probably pretty cool. And then I get there, and Women Army played first, and I don't know how to explain it, but that also changed my life. That is one of my favorite bands to this day. It's one of my top 10 bands of all time. I still have their CDs in my backpack right now. They're in there. I took them to work this weekend, was listening to them. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. It's a cool story. I fucking love that band.
That's a One Man Army is a kind of, you had to be there to know about it. So it's kind of one of those fun things to know about, because they didn't really have a resonance, I think, beyond, that time period. Like I've got the Alkaline Trio split somewhere in this room.
Yeah, I got that over here somewhere too.
But it was like at that point, and then the next thing I do is like, oh, they were done as a band or something like that.
Yeah, they put out 3 albums
and
and a split,
quick.
and they were like, all right, see ya. And it's like, damn, bro. And I had that one, that shirt that had the knuckles on it. It said One Man Army on it. And then it had like the little leaf thing. It said San Francisco on a banner. And it was like black with yellow print. And I loved that shirt. I wore it all the time. And then I got too fat for it. It was like, fuck. But
so I got to the band shirts into pillows.
I still scream, bro. I should just make another one. I can make that shirt tomorrow.
I got to feel those old punk shirts that my wife's converting into pillows.
That's
awesome. Kind of cool, and have them as the front. So I still like them. They're fun merch to have, even though they won't fit.
Unfortunately, I lost everything in Hurricane Harvey, so I don't have very much before that. So I managed to get a couple things since then that were pretty cool. But I've got my very first punk rock shirt that I ever bought, which is a Rancid tour shirt from '96. I got like a painting from Japan that my grandpa brought home, and that's pretty much it. Everything else I lost. I lost everything. I lost like invaluable stuff I can't put a price on. Like there was artwork and stuff from other people that are famous now, and I lost all my signed Rancid stuff. Like, yeah, dude, that's gross. But I managed to get a couple things. I got a Out on the Wolves first pressing unopened. I got that Tim Time Bomb and Friends record. That was pretty cool. That thing's freaking expensive, but
it's only what, like 900 songs on that thing.
Good God, it's like 3 albums, dude. I didn't even open it. I just wanted to have it. It's just one of those things where I just wanted to own it.
And I will say that of all the Rancid like offshoots, that's probably my least favorite. Is the Tim Time Bomb stuff. Yeah.
No shit. That's like probably like right next to Rancid for me.
And it's one that just does like, and I love the Poet's Life. I love that album, which I think is what this Bad Optics reminds me the most of.
Oh, it's exactly the same. It's exactly what it is. It's just a Poet's Life 2.0.
Yeah, Poet's Life featuring Jess Michaels. I think you could almost
So like the Tim Time Bomb and Friends stuff. Man, I'm surprised you don't like that as much. It's like my favorite stuff he's ever done, maybe. Like I like it as much as most of Rancid stuff. Because it's just like, maybe it's because I'm from Texas, bro. I don't know. We country ass dudes down here, bro. And there's a lot of it's like acoustic-y, like Zydeco, like folky. I don't know, man. I can listen to it anywhere, anytime, and it won't bother anybody. And it still gives me that Rancid feel. And I think that might be what it is. I don't really know. I love it. But it ain't for everybody, though. I've let some people hear it that weren't really impressed, so.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's just I don't seek it out. Like I don't dislike any of it, and it's just not something that I like. I'm in a mood. I just never really think of Tim Time Bomb unless I just sometimes will Google stuff of random songs that I didn't realize he covered, like as a part of that whole deal, and I'm like, okay, there's a Tim version of that, and there's so much of that. That's out there, especially because it's so vast, the library of that project.
Dude, I have a poster in my garage that it's all of the covers of all of those songs that he put out.
Oh wow!
Like, yeah, dude, I think I might have a whole roll of them, man. I'll get your shipping address later, and I'll ship you one. I have tons of like tubes and stuff. I ship things all the time, bro. Some guy just came in and gave them to me out of the blue one day. I don't even think he knew I was a fan of the stuff. He just gave it to me, and it was a big ass roll, dude. It's like I was crazy, bro. No. Lars sent me those. That's how I got those. Lars sent me those. I talked to Lars on the phone a few times because it's the weirdest story, man. I had a comic book shop and he was selling things online that were comic book related. My wife saw it and was like, "Hey, you should try to get these. You'd really like that. It's Lars." And I reached out. And he's like, "Oh, they're already sold, but I got this other thing. If you're interested, there's some horror mags." And I was like, "Yo, I'd much rather have that actually." And so I bought them from him and he shipped them to me. And then I bought some other stuff and he shipped me. I don't remember why he sent me the posters, but he sent them to me with some other stuff. And then one day we're talking on Instagram and he's like, "Hey man, it'd be a lot easier if I could just call you." And I was like, "Yeah, right." And I was like, "All right, buddy." And so I give him my phone number, and then like 5 minutes later, California phone number comes through, and I was like, "There's no way that this is Lars on the phone." And so I answer the phone, and we start talking, and like he remembered me telling him about this tattoo. Like I showed it to him in like 2001, dude, like a long time ago. And he was like, "I remember that. It was at Fitzgerald's." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Dude, you're crazy, man." And we were, he was super nice to me, man. He's super awesome dude. I've always been trying to get him on the show, but he's busy.
Yeah, yeah. I see. I feel like he's the one member who's like kind of, I wouldn't say
Oh,
the
he's a
public
rock
face
star,
of the
bro.
band, but yeah, but he's
I'm
that
not
guy
a
of the
pussyfoot
band.
around. He's a rock star, bro.
Like yeah, you get updated on Rancid stuff because he'll appear on almost everyone else's podcast. I mean, he's not
Yeah, he
quite on
won't show up
yours,
on
but
mine. I'm
but
not cool enough.
but even I wouldn't say mainstream, but like the guy from Avenged Sevenfold does a
Dude,
podcast.
I'm gonna
Lars
reach
on
out.
there.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he had the one episode with
He did
brought
an
Lars
episode
on.
with that guy.
Yeah, the
Oh, hold up. I'm personally offended by that. I'm gonna no, dude, M Shadows,
no the bass player.
bass player.
It's
I
Johnny
don't
Christ. I want to say his name is.
I don't have
Yeah,
no I
he
don't have
has
no
a
problem with those dudes.
he has
Just talking shit.
he has a series just like an interview, a podcast series, and he's
That's
had several
cool.
punk rockers on, and Lars was one of them. Amongst
I'm
like
gonna
all the
reach out to Lars and go, "Hey man, I'm like almost credible. I got 26,000 now. You any interest in jumping on for 20 minutes?" Dude, I'll pay him, bro. I just want to talk to him for a few minutes, bro. Like this is like my favorite band because there's zero chance I could get Tim to do that.
no.
So like I just want to talk to somebody for a few minutes just to say I was able to do it. Like that's like a bucket list thing for me. Like sincerely, in all honesty, like no joke. Call me a stan, call me whatever you want. I don't care. That's like a bucket list, dude. Everybody has somebody that they would love to talk to, and that's my guy. I would love to talk to Lars and just because like when we talked on the phone, it was cool because he was like a regular ass person. He was talking to me about stuff that had to do with his kids, and I thought that was really cool, man. He was like, "Hey, can you help me with some like Yu-Gi-Oh stuff?" And I couldn't quit laughing, bro. I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "What do you need, man?" And then we were like, we got really close to playing Magic Online together a couple times. Like we just couldn't match our schedules up. But like he was super like normal, and I just thought that was so weird. I don't know what I expected, but he was just like me, and I was like, "Huh." I'm like, go figure. A guy that listens to punk rock is just like me. That's really weird, I guess. I don't know. It's really surreal,
Well,
you know.
I wonder too, and like try to like psychoanalyze these guys because he had to sort of like grow up to be in Rancid, so to speak. Like he was told to be on his best behavior. I wonder.
Oh,
like,
really? See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, and it's not that dramatic. It's just that like the whole mission statement of Rancid was kind of the sobriety for Tim that Matt was doing and all that. And
Okay, I do know that.
Yeah, not that Lars was like this insane person. I don't know, but
No, but he was young and wild. Now,
yeah, and
stuff.
he had to shape up. And there's like the famous stories of Matt telling him that we find one beer and you're out and this and that. So I wonder now if he's and he kept that Rancid kind of cloak of darkness all those years. I wonder now if he's like a little bit off the leash, and that's why why he's everywhere. He's all the wrestling tweets I'm seeing from him all the time. And
so he loves that stuff, dude. And he's a toy collector, so like he has a lot of
tape trader, and
yeah, he collects toys and stuff. He has a lot of stuff that like he and I cross over a lot, bro. Like he and I probably have way more in common than I would with say Tim. But that's I mean. I don't know. There's a few people I'd love to talk to. Matt Skiba would be one. I just would love to talk to Matt Skiba. I'd really love to talk to a buddy from One Man Army, just asking what the fuck happened. Because that band, in my opinion, is like legitimately like every single song that they've got is good. I've never heard one that I thought was even mid. Bro, I can't even say that about Rancid, dude. Rancid's got songs I don't like. One Man Army does not.
You wonder if One Man Army could have been like way bigger too, because their music's actually pretty accessible when you listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, they could have been huge if they wanted to. They were on Billy Joe Armstrong's record label. Like, yeah, they could have been big, dude. Like, and I don't know that they wanted to be, because he also did what was that other band he did? Dead to Me for a while. Have you ever heard Dead to Me?
No.
It was quite a few years after. It was like I don't know what to call them. They're like punk rock, but they're like not. Like yeah, they're like, I don't know. It's not like One Man Army, really. I was hoping it was, but that's how I found out about him. Is people were like, "Hey, it's dude from One Man Army in a new band," and I was like, "Really?" And so I listened to it, and I was like, "He sings a little bit on their first album." Then I think he was out, but like, you should check it out. It's called Big Brother. It's good, man. It's like actually like really really good. I'm looking for this. What other stuff do you know about Jesse Michaels? Because I didn't know about some of his other projects until the other day. Like, because here's the thing: is like there's a lot that I don't know because I'm stuck in Houston, bro. Like, there's things I just didn't learn. and I just didn't because I wasn't around it. I wasn't close enough to it, and so I felt kind of stupid being such a big fan of the guy and not knowing about Big Rig or Classics of Love. I had no idea those bands existed.
No, I'm pretty unfamiliar. I mean, I'm more familiar, I think, with like when he's a painter too, right? I think he does.
I believe
I
so.
think he does the art stuff. Yeah, I really can't speak on that. The only time I really ever
That
check him
makes me
out
feel a
is
little bit better because I
if he's
was
doing an
pretty
interview.
surprised.
You know, I think though too he's yeah. I mean, people he'll give interviews and this stuff, but he seeks out fame a little bit, but probably not to the extent that he could if that was
Oh, if he
his
wanted
end
to, he could
goal.
be huge,
Yeah.
dude. Because I always feel like he's uncomfortable in front of a camera. Did you
Mm.
see that show that Tim did with the Interrupters guys, and Jesse jumped on stage to do that Up Ivy song? He looked so out of place.
Yeah, we played it earlier on on my failed stream. That's how we kind of
Yeah.
opened up. And
Okay, so like,
the first comment someone made is like, "Well, he's clearly in a different point now," he said, and I was not really sure what he meant by that, but I think that's what you're
yeah,
referring to.
yeah, he looked super uncomfortable, and I felt empathy for him. He got into it a little bit. It took him a few minutes, but I think that was really impromptu. I think all this was an accident, dude. I don't think any of this was
Mm.
planned. I don't think Bad Optics was planned. I don't think that show was really planned like that. I think it just kind of happened. They saw an opportunity. They said, "Hey, you want to do this?" He said, "Hey, fuck it, why not?" And then it just happened. That's how all the
Mm.
great stuff happens, anyways. Hey, you want to do
Well,
this? Cool.
and like, there's no reason not to do it. Like, I think there are reasons not to do the Op Ivy reunion. I
Yes,
think
I would
we've
agree.
talked about that. I think like if you got the means and the time, might as well do it. What's great about punk rock is like you don't have to. It doesn't matter if your tour is downscaled. Like, sure, everyone would like to have things as nice as possible, but
Yeah.
you're a punk rock band without a lot going on, especially
Excuse
these
me.
guys who are kind of veterans at it.
Yeah.
You can tour punk rock when you don't spend too much does become sustainable, and bands have proven that. These bands that are still going have kind of proven that over the
Well,
years.
I mean, any band that's got like a 20th anniversary of anything coming out right now can make a tour, make money, live on it, and be fine. Now, you can't live extravagantly, but you can do it. Like, look at the Bouncing Souls.
Mhm.
Like, good grief, dude. They just did 10 Stories High, and it's a fantastic album, and they're going
Great
to
album.
tour. Do what?
I just said great album. Like,
Yeah,
that
it
was a
really, dude, it
fantastic
really is.
album.
It like took me a few listens to get into it. If you ever get a chance to watch my review, you'll laugh because I was like talking on the review. I said when I first listened to it, I was like, nothing really jumped out at me. And then I said, well, then I realized that it's because all 10 songs are really good, so none of them stood out because they're all really great songs.
Mm.
And I was looking at it from the wrong perspective. I was looking at it from like which ones are gonna be good. Well, they're all good, and
Mhm.
so there's still a couple that I like better than others, but they're all really good songs. And the Bouncing Souls, I mean, I have Hopeless Romantic tattooed on my knuckles, and it's not just because of that's, it's Bouncing Souls, man. Like, love that band. But Anchors Away is, I think, 20 years old this
20
year.
years this year. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Later
crazy,
in the year.
bro. That's
That's wild because to
that's
me
so
that was new.
bananas, dude.
I remember getting that, and I was a junior in high school, I think, when that album came out. It was like
Well,
it was new. It was new punk rock, like new punk rock, but still made by the legit guys, and
yeah, and like,
that was so good. Yeah.
well, it came out the same year Indestructible came out, and
Mhm.
I'm like, Indestructible is 20 years old. What? Like, how old am I, bro? Like, good grief. Because I mean, when Indestructible came out, I remember getting that album, and I was on my way to band practice. And at the time, I had a really bad problem with drugs, man. And I remember being in the car doing dope and listening to Indestructible. And that first song, and I know, and it just comes out real fast. And I was like, huh. And then it goes in and it slows down a little bit. Then you get like you get to like anyways, you do the single. What was the single called? Fall Back
Fall Back
Down.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I was like, pretty immediate. I was like, oh, this is a good album. Like, this is really good. And then I remember all the kids hated on it.
Mhm.
And I was like, wait, what? You don't like it because of what? And like, well, that Fall Back Down song's cheesy. I'm like, do you know what he went through before he wrote this album? And I'm like, because I do. It wasn't even this album before it was this album. It was a whole different album called Indestructible. It wasn't even called Indestructible. It's called something else. And they
Mhm.
rewrote the whole album because he got divorced and his heart was broken. And like, yeah, he wrote some cheesy shit, man. Let the guy live, dude. Like his whole life got flipped upside down, bro. Like,
By the way, not the first. It's punk rock. It's not the first guy to write cheesy shit either. Like,
no,
it's
not
a
even
pretty
a little
cheesy
bit. Have you heard
genre
No Effects before?
as a whole, right? And that album, and I've actually got. I'm going to do a video soon on the interview they gave to Alternative Press at that time, which was they billed it as like their first interview in 5 years or something like that. I
Okay.
don't know if that's exactly true. And you forget, like, that's what Joe Strummer had died. Lars's brother had just passed away.
Bro,
He got
so
divorced.
much.
All that stuff. Dee Dee and Johnny, Dee Dee and Joey had just died. Like, it was kind of reminds me of this era that everyone's in, where everyone's just
Yeah.
kind of sad all the time. And
What year? Alternative Press. It was it this one?
Yeah, that one.
Let's go! I can't believe I have this right now, bro. Tell me I don't wear my hat like Brett Reed. Come on, bro. I've been wearing my hat like this for so long. Dude, I started getting back into collecting these, and I got because I lost all my stuff in that stupid hurricane, and one of the things I lost was is that a death bat on your arm?
It is.
Yo, I'm glad I wasn't actually shitting on that band then.
Well, I mean, they're an easy band to shit on, and I've done my
no. I like some of their older stuff, but like I actually said earlier, no, I don't really have a problem with those guys, but that's funny because I'm glad I wasn't being a dick. But no, I got this one. I picked up this one. You probably have a bunch of them, huh? I got this guy here.
I've just started kind of collecting them.
Let's go.
I got my I got an AFI one right there.
There you go. I'm going solely with Rancid stuff personally because I don't have the space to put anything else. But
I'm on a mission to get a whole year
look at
out.
this cover. Oh, so bad. Just so bad.
The old AP cover too would be one to have the famous one, the
Scott for Life,
the brighter no future rate where it's like
we're here too.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
You know the one that's like punk gets Scott for life?
I know that.
Hold on. Let me
that's what I'm thinking of. The one I'm thinking of, it's kind of like gray and brown, and he's in the suit with the big mohawk.
I think that's the one I'm talking about. Let's see.
It's got to be around like the Wolves era. It's around that time frame.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking about because that's the one. That's my favorite magazine of all time, and that's the one I had on my wall. And oh man, yeah, dude. Like, so check this out. I don't have time. It's not pulling up, but I have this, which is really important to me. This is the first concert I ever went to. I had to find one of these online, but it's got Rancid in it as well. And I still have the shirt from this show. Yeah, man. Like I saw the Ramones original lineup before they all started kicking the bucket. Like it's crazy, man. Like the amount of stuff I was able to accomplish in just a couple of short years. But yeah, man, all this Rancid stuff. Like I'm thinking about going back and doing some videos and like reading some of the magazine articles on there and like putting some photos up and stuff and just, I don't know, making punk rock content on stuff that I enjoy and maybe people will watch it, maybe they won't. Who knows?
Well, and as we talked about earlier with Rancid, they were so mysterious. I keep going back to that, but I really think that's a big part of their aura is, especially it's so opposite now. Like nowadays, anytime a punk rocker says or does anything, we hear about it, we know about it, they tell us. Whereas
it's all over Twitter, it's all over Instagram.
They kept their distance. So all the Rancid like paraphernalia we always got in drips, and like now that these books are coming out and stuff, we get a little more. But like even the Winwood book, Smash, which is a really good book. He says, I talked to everyone. He talked to the Offspring. He talked to Green Day, all of them. The one band he couldn't get a hold of was Rancid. Like he said, they in all these years he's been trying to interview him, and he still just cannot score that interview with Rancid.
I mean, it's kind of awesome though, dude. Like, I mean, Tim didn't even drive until like recently. Like he was notorious for like not even having a license. Like he was like a millionaire. Was like
so many songs about buses.
Yes, right, dude, for real. I rode a bus down here in Houston for most of my life. I didn't have a car until I had kids, man, and I didn't have a license until about 8 months ago. Like I had my license taken for almost 20 years. Bro, I'm telling you, I was a fucking retard when I was younger, man. I was stupid, dude. I did a bunch of dumb stuff. It was awesome. We had a lot of fun, man, but I made a lot of mistakes. Like, I mean, yeah. What's your favorite Rancid album? It's got to be Out Come the Wolves, huh? Or maybe not.
Yeah. So like on the video I did, I'll let me see. I go through my rankings in my head. I actually had the self-titled one pretty low too. I had both self-titled ones low.
Yo, what? That first album is so good.
I just felt it didn't have. There was something. Maybe I'm a large.
Yeah, it's
guy.
probably like my third favorite one actually.
Yeah, people take.
I'd probably go backwards from the Out Come the Wolves. Let's go. Self-titled would go. I would just flip it around and have Out Come the Wolves as my number one, and then 2, Let's Go. 3, that one. And then 4 would be Life Won't Wait. Then it would be Indestructible. Then it would be very last is going to be that self-titled 2000. That album sucks.
I had Dominoes pretty high on my list. That was a bit of controversial.
Dominoes is pretty good, but I don't like it any more than I like the other 2 that they put out after that. The other 2 I thought were awesome as well.
See, and all I didn't
3 of those kind of fall in the same.
I didn't rank those 2 in my video because I didn't feel like it was fair to those 2 albums. Because and Domino's a little less so, but from Domino's to 93, they've got like 20 years of equity built up in my brain versus the other two. And it was hard to put them in that right context. I think now with a little bit more distance, I'd like
I
to go back and
routinely
reslot
listen to
those.
those albums, dude. I listen to them all the time. I actually think I would put both of those higher than Dominoes. I don't know,
Yeah,
man. It's really hard because Dominoes
there,
has a few classic songs to me.
yeah, I don't know. I see. I view Dominoes as kind of like Let's Go, not Let's Go, Life on Wait, Indestructible. I'm saying old album is almost like a not the
Two,
leftovers from there,
two,
but
no, 2.0.
it's in the same, yeah, it's in the same zone. So I
It's
think
close,
if
but there's some problems on that album that I don't know, but there's no songs on it that I dislike, I guess. I need to go back and listen to it all again. Life Won't Wait was one that when I first heard it, I was really like shocked by it. I didn't know if I liked it much because it
well,
was the one after Out Come the Wolves, and I was like, this is what they're bringing us. I was like, this is weird. And
it,
then
it
like,
it's a tough one. It shocked me because like I had like my first ever punk CD was Rancid 2000. That was the
okay,
first thing that like wasn't like a like a Green Day or something
really,
like that. Yeah. And you think I would have it higher actually because it was so
yeah,
formative. And I like the rest of their catalog better. I don't dislike it. I just like
yeah.
but Life
No,
on
I
Wait
actively dislike it. I'm sorry,
really
guys.
shocked me because I didn't know as much about Rancid at the time, and because of their imagery and all that, and that album, I assumed they were more of like one of the more hardcore Hellcat style bands.
Sure,
And so
sure.
Life on Wait just it took me a minute, and it's kind of long to sit
It
through. So it took a little while. I love it now, but it took a while.
Well, clearly I love it because it's on my throat, but
Mm,
it took me a little bit. But see, that came out the year my dad died, I think. No, I think he died the year after that. And so I associate that one with my dad a little bit. And like, I didn't really know him very well. So
mm,
there's a lot of like, just like the Bouncing Souls is the same thing. And that band, The Gadgets, are the same thing. Like, my dad bought me a bunch of albums right before he passed. And it was like Life Won't Wait, Bouncing Souls, the self-titled one with the soccer ball,
mhm.
The Gadgets at Ease. And so those albums like will forever be like in my brain as like uh my dad, you know. I don't know,
Your
it's weird because I mean I wasn't even
association
like,
with it, yeah.
yeah, I wasn't even like close to him to be honest. But yeah, when I heard it, it threw me for a loop. And then I heard Self-Titled 2000 and I got pissed off. I was like, they're gonna give me because once I realized how good Life Won't Wait really was, I was like, oh, these guys are fucking amazing songwriters. And then I heard like 2000 and I was like, oh, calm down, bro. Like, quit. What happened was that they listened to everybody. The
Mhm.
pressure got to them. And that's really obvious. If you just listen to their discography from front to back, you can tell that right there, you're right, midlife crisis about that time of their life, but that the pressures of like being a punk band got to them. Instead of just being a band that happened to play punk rock, they were trying to be a punk band. Bro,
Mm.
stop, chill, dude. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. Like, listen to the Unseen, man. They went and turned into a hardcore band, basically. Like, who cares? Like, just play what you want to play, man.
And I wonder if it was specifically also a response to Life on Wait because Life on Wait is the complete opposite of that.
It really is.
It's a weird ebb and flow the way those two, because I do feel like Indestructible. Again, I know I made the connection to Dominoes, but Indestructible is more in the vein of Let's Go and Wolves. Like it reminds me more of that. And
Oh,
I
for
don't think it's
sure.
as much. It's I mean it's nothing like self-titled, and it's not, and it doesn't reach the levels of but Life on Wait and self-titled are both on their own kind of play. They don't really have a comp in the rest of the catalog, either one of those albums.
Yeah. The first Rancid record, see, I'm 41. How old are you?
36.
So I'm a little older. I'm 5 years older. That's actually a big difference when you think about like the 90s. That's a big
Specifically
difference.
for what we're talking about, yeah,
Yeah, because I was here in Rancid in
so
'95.
you got them in real time, yeah.
Yeah, I was late, a little late to the party. You want to hear a cool story? Check this out. This won't take long. So I was a skateboarding little, shithead kid, and there's this place called Diamond Head Records out in Spring, Texas, and I was out near there, and was close enough to walk to the store, and I would go in and I would just look at punk records and I would write them down, and then I would take them to my house and I would tell my dad, hey, this is what I found. This is what the cost is. And then he would try to buy me like one every couple of weeks if he could. Right. And I was not old enough to work yet, so I couldn't go do it on my own. And we were mail ordering and doing stuff through like Fat Records and Epitaph. And he was just trying to help me out. He was cool enough, man. He just wasn't a good dad. But one day I'm in there and I'm holding a skateboard in one hand, and I think I had like a water or something in my other hand, but I had a mohawk. And it wasn't very long. It was like no hat. It was like flopping around. And so this dude walks in and he's got like what I now know as skinny jeans and like a battle vest on. And he's got like charged hair and he's clearly like in his late 20s, tattoos that are all shitty, smelled like cigarettes, and I was like, that guy's awesome. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like my mom would have been like, no, but I'm like staring at him. Like I couldn't quit looking at the guy because I was thinking, like, dude, this is what I want to look like when I'm older. I want to rock this kind of shit. I like this, dude. Like, this looks rad. And so he's like, what's up, dude? And I'm like, hey, buddy. Like, hi. I'm not cool. Sorry. Like, and he's like, what are you in here looking for? As a matter of fact, I think I was wearing like a homemade Bad Religion t-shirt. Like I had drawn like the Bad Religion thing on it and wrote Bad Religion on the back. I was poor, man. I had no money. And so he was like, what are you in here looking for? And he's like looking at me and like kind of like, this fucking kid, what are you up to, man? And I said, well, I was just looking at some CDs, man, and I don't have a lot of cash. So I was just gonna go home and see what I could get my dad to buy me. And he's like, what kind of music do you like? And I'm like, I don't really know. I think I like punk. And he's like, yeah, what makes you say that? And I was like, I heard a band called Rancid. They're pretty good. And this is like, I'm young, dude. I'm like 14, maybe 15 at this point. And he's like standing at this. He brought a box in with him. In the box, he was going to sell it to the store. You know, you used to be able to sell this stuff back.
Yeah.
And it was all cassettes. And he's like, hey, man, you care if I give this kid these tapes instead of selling them to y'all? Because, you know, the store will make money. As a small business owner, I know how important it is to have people bring you stuff. And so looking back on it from now, I look exactly how important that was to that store owner. And he goes, hey, you care if I give these to this kid? And the guy's like, what is it? He's like, that's a bunch of punk tapes. And the guy's like, that's okay. He can have them. And so he goes, here, kid. And he pulls one out and he puts it in his shirt pocket. I wish I could figure out what tape that was, but he pulled one out and he put it in his shirt pocket. Like, fucking, I'm going to keep this one, right? But he goes, here, take these. He goes, you like Rancid? There's a tape in there called Operation Ivy. You should check that one out. And he goes, also, there's like a couple of Rancid tapes in there, but here, take them. And I was like, what? And that's how I heard Op Ivy, Let's Go, and Self-Titled for the first time was those tapes, right? And that might be one of the 5 points that I could pull up that changed my entire life. Because very soon after that, I was at my friend's house and his stepbrother came over and gave me like a mixtape because I was skateboarding in the yard. And his friend was like, oh, here, you can have this. And it had Less Than Jake, Op Ivy, and some other ska punk, Suicide Machines, I think, on it or something. And that also was like formative to me. Like these are all like 9th, 10th grade. And this is when I was really becoming me. And like I forever owe that punk rock guy like everything. You know, because and I constantly give kids stuff in my store.
What's that mythical cassette, man? That's what we got.
Bro, I would pay $100 right this second to know what that was, dude. Because I just didn't. He was kind of tall, actually. He was way bigger than me. But he just pulled it out and handed me this whole box. Dude, I mean, that box, it had Bad Religion in it. It had No Effect. Pennywise, the purple one, self-titled, was in there. Dude, tons of good tapes. Like probably 25 tapes he just gave to me. Like, shit, dude, right now those tapes are probably worth a few $100 easy.
Well, and as you said, like cassettes are kind of in vogue, you know. Not
oh, bro, I have
not
a whole
super,
label on.
It's fun to have them. You know?
I just got my master tape the other day from the production plant that are like telling me to listen to it and, you know, give them the thumbs up. So it's not even punk, it's like rap, but it's good. It's like horror movie rap. My boy TJ Trainwreck, go fuck with TJ Trainwreck, y'all. Yeah, man, like I don't know. Life is funny like that, dude. Like all these little things in your life will shape what you do in your 20s, then 30s, then 40s. And you don't even recognize it when it's happening, man. Like I didn't recognize at that point what that was going to do for me. I thought it was cool. And I appreciated it. And I got home and I jammed the shit out of those tapes, man. But I didn't realize what that was actually doing for me. And, you know, I remember being like, I don't know, pre-10, young. I was at Walmart with my mom, and this guy comes in, and he has a big blue mohawk, and he has on, you know, patched up clothes and shit and tattoos. And I was like standing next to my mom, and I was like, Mom. I was like, look at that guy. And she was like, oh, no. Like audibly, oh, no. And I went, I want to look like that when I grow up. And she was like, no, you don't. I bet she would remember that, too. No, you don't. I was like, of course I do. Who doesn't want to look like that?
Well, that's what people don't understand nowadays. How looking punk or really alternative in any way was still so like edgy, even
bro, yeah,
like
dude.
the mid 2000s. When you like you said, like I would be like afraid when I'd see like a real punk rocker in the wild, but I also want them to think I was really cool. Whenever I'd be there, at the CD shop.
I would say that I was like right in the middle of that. Like I wasn't quite that, but I was bold enough to have neck tattoos at 19. Like I didn't give a shit. But I also wasn't cool enough to have like the big spiky mohawk. I never could rock a mohawk like that, dude. I just didn't. I've always worn hats and like cargo shorts. I never wore stretch pants very much. I've had a pair occasionally, but like I've been more of like a Dickies and t-shirts type of dude. But yeah, I feel you. I remember seeing those guys and be like, shit, I hope they think I'm cool enough to be like hanging around. And I remember one time I got made fun of because I was driving up to a show and like my window on the back had stickers on it, and I had made them all match, so they were all like red vinyl.
Yeah.
And I guess that wasn't cool. Like they were supposed to not match, but I was like, what? And I had like Rancid, No Effects, US Bombs. But I had like I spent the time to make these. Like it was way more punk rock than going and buying them. And like
I think it's called Punk's Not Dead. And Tim does give an interview in there, and he just says like who the fuck am I to tell other people what they're into or what they need to be into? Because I was that kid, and I was like that's informed so much, I think, of how they operated too, even though they did sort of wear that punk crat as kind of a uniform, but I think they understood it in a much different way than the people who quite frankly just don't think that deeply about it actually did. And I've always appreciated that, and it's probably why they're able to work with such a diverse set of artists and have an eye for talent.
Am I a punk rocker? Absolutely, man. I tattooed it on my knuckle, large tattooed on my knuckles. I don't give a fuck. I'm a punk rocker until I'm 100 years old if I live that long. Mm-hmm. Now, are you a punk rocker? I don't know. I don't give a fuck. Right. Who am I to say you're not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Who's a punk? I don't know. I'm not a cop. But I do know I'm a punk rocker. And I do know there's some 16-year-old kid like me, is in high school, who's very shy, outsider, can't fit in. And I'm sure he relates to certain bands from the outsider perspective. Mm-hmm. Is he a punk rocker?
Where Tim can look at like a pop singer like Amy Allen and go like, she would be great with my other friends over here, and they can do this thing.
That happened?
That's like the Cliff Notes version, because those guys, the brothers, I can't think of their names right. They worked with Tim, obviously, with some of the Tim Armstrong and friends and all that. Yeah. And Kevin had toured with the Interrupters as a second guitarist and all that. And I want to say I read a lot about it a few months. I want to say he kind of put them. He was producing both of them kind of independently and was kind of like, hey, you guys would really fit together. He was
producing Amy's stuff.
He was either producing it or was just kind of around. I don't know if he was actually a producer on it.
So was she like into punk stuff before that? Because I've seen the photos and stuff, and she didn't really look like she might be.
I've listened to a little bit of her music. It's not punky at all.
No, it's singer-songwriter stuff. It's closer to Taylor Swift than it is Rancid.
She talks about being into punk, but I don't get the impression it was like her 1A thing. I get the impression she was into a lot of different stuff, punk being one of them.
That's cool. I mean, I don't really care. I was just curious. She's awesome. She's a great singer.
They're like the band now that gets the hate in that way. That like, oh, they're a creation of Tim. They're like, okay, so you're telling me that the guy who produces the band sounds like him. So you're telling me, are you gonna say No Effects is a creation of Brett Gurewitz? Because they sure early on, especially, sounded a whole hell of a lot like Bad Religion.
They'll tell you that they just took their sound and did it. I mean, they literally stole Bad Religion's sound, and
they just couldn't. They just weren't good enough. They always say we weren't good enough, so that was our sound. And so that kind of drives me nuts. With like, and so what? Even if Tim is the puppet master, like, does that change? Like, it's music that Tim's producing. Like, and I like Tim Armstrong.
Yeah, like, what's the problem with that? Like, I mean, he's getting a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, wouldn't you rather him be part of it?
I'll say on that too. Like, part of why I like the Interrupters is like my daughter, who's 11, loves the like that's her entry into like.
My daughter is 8 and she loves the Interrupters. You know, she likes a lot. It's Catbite.
Yeah. I've showed it. Well, because my daughter likes ska, because she knows what ska is.
Freaking ska's awesome.
Because of the and it's a very accessible music, I think, to really anyone. Ska kind of has that even in a way that punk, even like, I understand if you just don't like punk and you're not being a jerk about it, like, it just kind of cannot appeal to you. I think ska has open, especially the type of ska that like Tim produces. It really
it's like dub ska stuff without all the horn stuff.
Yeah, see,
it's got more keyboards than it does horns.
I don't think I really like pure ska necessarily. Like, I respect it, like the stuff that Tim actually listens to and is inspired by. I don't
that's
necessarily
the stuff I
love
listen
that.
to. No, I like dub and reggae.
The true,
I like old first wave, second wave ska. First wave's the specials.
I like the specials.
Lights. I picked up a girl for work the other night, right? She's a coworker of mine, super sweetheart. I picked her up in my car to take her to we were seeing, like, I work at a theater in a bar, and so I get to see movies at midnight. Like tonight, I'm going to go see Mario at midnight as an employee, right? We can't take friends and family, but we can all show up as an employee. So I picked her up, dude. It blew my mind. I was listening to the Skylights. They just put out this new, like, Rhino Records put out this whole, like, I don't know, it's like a 2 CD set. It's amazing. and I'm blasting it, right? You know, I'm fucking old head listening to old dub stuff, and it never occurred to me that she wouldn't know what that was. And she gets in the car and she's like, "What is this music?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the Skylights." And I was like, "They're pretty dope." And I was like, "Here, I'll turn it down a little bit." She's like, "No, like what kind of music is this?" And I was like, "Huh?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's like ska reggae." And I was like, "You've never heard reggae?" And she's like, "I've heard of it." And I was like, "You've never heard reggae?" And she's like, "Oh, I like it. It makes me want to dance." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do." I was like, "Shit, turn it back up then." Cranked it back up and drove her to the theater. It was just such a cool thing. I just opened a whole door for this girl. She listens to like Prince and stuff. Like she likes pop music, especially 80s stuff. I'm gonna give her a whole bunch of mixtapes, dude. Like, here, listen to all this stuff and then pick what you like. Let me know what it is, and I'll get you stuff. Like, she's a homie, man.
Define ska. That's really hard when you actually think about that, right? Like what actually
pick it up.
ska?
That's how I'll define it. I don't know how else to define it.
It's like reggae without as many beats, but still can have that. It's hard to really define.
Well, here's
ska,
the thing: is that
genre.
what most people don't understand is that ska was around before reggae. Like, it's not hard to figure out. It just look it up. I do a lot of digging into this stuff, man. And ska was around 5-10 years before reggae ever came out. Ska is a more Jamaican music than reggae is. Not by a lot. It's just older, but like it's almost the same thing. Reggae's got all kinds of stuff in it that ska doesn't have in it. Ska is basically a stripped down reggae. That's why it's older. That's why it was simplified. You start adding like, dance beats and rhythm that you get reggae. But a lot of folks don't. They think of ska, they think Real Big Fish, and that's just not really what I think of as ska. Save Ferris. I don't really think. I took my daughter to her first show, and it was Streetlight Manifesto and Catbite, dude. It was fucking awesome, dude. It was like one of the greatest times of being a dad. Like, I was so proud of like me doing that. I was like, let's fucking go. My mom would have never done that shit for me, man.
Well, that's why I have a son and he does not care for punk at all. And
mine neither.
Like, oh, that's his punk rock though. That's his rebellion is
like, fuck your music.
It's me. I'm like, oh, that's how you're gonna get at me, because I always joke, I'm listening to Pennywise and stuff. And I'm like, at driving to my job and stuff, real badass. And I'm thinking, how are these kids gonna be subversive towards me? And then I realized, oh, that's how, by being perfectly freaking normal.
Yep, that's gonna happen, man. Dude, it's funny how we mirror each other. My kids are the same way. My daughter likes it. My son doesn't. My son's older than my daughter by about 16 months though, and I have a baby too. I have a little 2-year-old. And he likes, dude, my little 2-year-old loves reggae. It's weird, bro. When we had a outage of power over here, when we first got it back on, I played the specials, I think, and he was like a baby, and he was like literally bobbing his head. And so I play it for him every couple of months just to see how he reacts. He just stands there and dances to it. I'm like, this is fucking rad, dude. I hope he stays into that stuff. I mean, there's likely no chance he does, but right now he thinks it's awesome, and that's cool, man. But dad's music will be cool for a while at least, right? Right. Hopefully.